part 5 of my 5-part series on customer ratings with DoorDash. Now, I originally had recorded all 5 parts at the Airbnb in Amish country, but part 5 didn't turn out so great. There was one big problem, with a couple problems with that video. The biggest problem was somebody flying this remote control plane around in the same pattern of above me. So every 90 seconds, this plane would come around. And take a look at the original video here.
And then so what happens is, as a dasher, after your delivery, you go in and you put the checkbox on these different types of things. How many times are they going to fly this thing around in the same pattern?
So it was about, gosh, at least like 6 flybys in a 15-minute video. And I was going to edit all those out, but it was that combined with a lighting issue from the sun in that video. I was like, nah, I'll just record this later. I'll redo it at home, and that way I can also do like an outline on the iMac of the points that I bring up here in a minute. So I just redo the video. So the overall idea here is I can't take credit for this. This has been a few months ago, probably 4 or 5 months ago. I was on the phone with my brother and we were talking about the customer ratings with DoorDash and some of these negative ratings that I'd received and the frustration and everything. And he brought up a really good point that made me stop and think. He said to me, something that I've always thought is that they have the customers rate the dashers, but I think the customers should be rated as well by the dashers. And I kind of thought for a second. I was like, you know what? That is a really good idea. And why is that not being done? And I kind of, after he said that, then in the upcoming days, weeks, and months, I would kind of think about that more and think of like the benefits to that and how exactly, like, ways that DoorDash could do this, all this and that. I started thinking, and like, because DoorDash already holds the customers accountable on some levels for certain things, and the main thing is stealing. From what I understand, I don't absolutely know this for sure, but I'm pretty sure that customer accounts can get deactivated from multiple issues surrounding theft. I've had customer support tell me that they take this seriously, and certain customer accounts, they watch these accounts, and they're just like dashers can be deactivated from the platform, customers can be as well. That's my understanding. Another part of this is I have actually had 2 customer accounts blocked, so to where I no longer receive orders from those particular customer account. You can do that. I had one customer that had a drug addiction and was trying to order cans of compressed air, and but he would, in his order, he would place a low priced item in the order and then try to substitute the the more expensive cans of air. trying to cheat the system, and he's trying to get these cans of air like every day. And then my very first customer that stole from me, and my very first contract violation, and then I think I had one or two more deliveries to that customer after that point, and I had that customer blocked. Um, so you can do that. And it just seems fair that the customers are rating the dashers. Why can't the dashers rate the customers as well? And you could even have it to where, if DoorDash wanted to, they could make it to where only the dashers see the ratings on the customers, you know. And it could be one additional piece of information that we as dashers use when making our decision whether or not we want to take an order. So you already have how much it's going to pay, where it's picking up from and delivering to, and like, say for instance, if it's a shopping order, how many items. So you already have these pieces of information. You could also throw in there the rating on the customer. So let's say I get an order come across that's kind of borderline for me. Well, maybe the customer rating might play a deciding factor if I take the order or not. Let's say I get an offer that's $10 for 12 miles, and I'm kind of like, should I take this or not? But if the customer is a 2-star customer, I'm not taking that. Whereas possibly if I know I'm delivering to a 5-star customer, then I might just go ahead and take it based on that. So, but having said all that, now as I thought about this more and more and more, um, I think that it shouldn't be as simple as, if a dasher completes the order and just rates a customer a 1 through a 5-star. I don't think it should be that standardized. I think there should either, if it's not a 5-star delivery experience, then you would select no, and I'll get to this here in just a second. And if it's not a 5-star, then there's several different selections that DoorDash could have you choose from. Well, why wasn't it a 5-star? And certain factors would count as certain points deducted from the perfect score. And then once the dasher chose the certain uh, issues with the delivery from the selections, then the system assigns the rating to the customer. So let me move this over here. I thought about doing a PowerPoint, but I'm not good with PowerPoints. I've only, in college, I did 2 or 3 PowerPoint presentations, and I don't like them. So I'm more comfortable with Word. So what we're going to do here is this sample proposal for rating DoorDash customers, and then this is just kind of like my idea for how DoorDash could do this. And obviously, if they were going to do something like this, it would probably be a lot different. Um, but I will copy and paste the different things here. So first of all, the very first dasher drops off an order, and they get prompted to do a review. And you could, just like the customers, only 1 out of 7, 1 out of 8 in my market, somewhere in there, only that percentage even gives a review. Well, it could be the same for the dashers. You could just skip all this if you wanted to. But if you chose to do a very first question, was this a 5-star delivery experience? If you say yes, boom, then that's all there is to it. The customer gets a 5-star rating from you as a dasher on that delivery. But If no, so if your answer is no, then you choose from the following choices. And I've got this categorized based on kind of like the severity of the issues. So I just think that some of the various different issues should count more significantly against a rating than others. So the following, if you select any of these type of things, and these are just examples, DoorDash could put a whole bunch, several more different issues in this list. These are just kind of like the main ones that I came up with. So, first of all, these first issues would be result in a 2-point deduction automatically. And the first one was the customer rude. Rude, violent in any way. If a dasher marks that this was the case on a delivery, automatic 2 points taken all. So 3-star right off the bat for being rude. Now this next one's kind of multi-layered here. If the customer was demanding or made excessive requests or asked you to do something that was like against DoorDash policy. Let's say that, let's move this up a line here. So let's say they're constantly, I've never had this issue in all of my deliveries so far, but some customer texting me every 2 or 3 minutes, how much longer, how much longer. Well, like if I'm waiting at a restaurant or something, like I said, I've never had that before, but if I had something like that, that would fall right here. I have had one time on a shop and pay order, I had a customer ask me to purchase cigarettes. And so I was pretty sure I hadn't researched that to that point. So I didn't know if it was okay for me to do that or not, or all this and that. I ended up dropping that order, but there was more issues with the order than just the cigarettes, and I just was on that particular order. I'm like, I'm just dropping this, but it's against DoorDash policy. The cigarettes, tobacco products, we're not supposed to purchase them for the customer. So if you had a customer like this and you told them, hey, I'm not, that's against DoorDash policy, I'm not purchasing cigarettes, and they were still persistent about it, you would mark this on your customer review page, automatic 2-point deduction. Okay, then we get to issues resulting in, these would be a little bit less severe. So this would be a 1-point deduction. Now, this first thing here, I don't know if DoorDash would consider this. Maybe DoorDash would not consider this as severe of an infraction, or maybe not an infraction at all. But for me personally, I think this should be a 1-point deduction. Customer was unresponsive. I just, I I'm sorry, folks. Me personally, I have a problem with this. You get onto DoorDash, you put items in your basket, you click submit, place order, whatever the case. I don't know, unless I've never personally done this, but do people place orders like a day or two in advance and schedule a time out? Maybe. I bet that's kind of rare for DoorDash orders. The option's probably there, but I bet that's rare. Probably most all of these orders. somebody is on the app and they hit submit and the order is placed and I get put on it. So you know that somebody is on your order and they're out there, they're doing your order, and anybody should know that there could be possibly an issue with the order. Some kind of issue at the store or restaurant, missing items, something. So that just kind of like blows me away how customers just place that order and then they just freaking, disappear to who knows where, off and doing something else or whatever, and won't respond to a text message or phone call when something comes up. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to rant about that. That I shouldn't rant about that, any more longer than I have. But that's just kind of irritating to me. That would be one point. I'm sorry. Um, Issues with the instructions, bad or inaccurate instructions. Also, too many instructions. I think the customer should get less than a 5 star from that. You write a book in your instructions, and there's way too much information there. That needs to be changed. Or too little instructions. I've seen that before too. Um, I wish that DoorDash would. Here's another thing that should be a requirement as far as I'm concerned, but DoorDash, I'm sure, does not see it this way. I think that if you're delivering to a place of business, if all the customers in those situations put the name of the business in your instructions, okay? I may not know where, uh, I'm just going to make up a address here. I may not know where 1593 Main Street is, but if you put in there the auto zone on Main Street, well, I know exactly where that is. So, and it on in business district areas, business zones, whatever you want to call it, the streets that have all businesses. Okay, it's too hard to look for an address in those situations, especially when you get into like a strip mall situation. There's not addresses on the buildings, and 9 times out of 10, the pin on your GPS map is going to be incorrect. You have no idea where to go. So that customers, if you're ordering and it's coming to a business, put the name of the business in the instructions. How hard is it? um, Hotels, that's another one. For gosh sake, they have an address. I'm going to go with Main Street again. 1600 Main Street, apartment 304. Well, you get to that address. That's not a apartment building or anything. That's a hotel, and that's the room number. So in the instructions, but just put the name of the hotel. Most dashers are and the work in that zone is going to know where the hotel is, but they don't recognize the address. I don't know. Like I said, that's just me. Okay. Next. Now the following would be, these would be less than a point. So these are accessibility issues that would be maybe like a half a point, or maybe some of them would be even less than that. But again, it's something that DoorDash and the system would assign a score to. So this first one is problems with the gate code. And I have had one particular location, and I had at least 2 deliveries there in the past, maybe 3, in downtown Columbus, where there's a gate code, and there has to be like a zero in front of the number and a pound sign at the end, and then there's like a star, and there's this and that, and it can't just be a simple number and then the pound sign. Is that there's zeros, like I said, stars, pound signs, this, that, and customer gave me a code, and I tried it like 6 or 7 different ways with the different symbols at the beginning, the end, and this and that, and I could not get in. Did you put the pound sign after it? Yes, I put the pound sign after it. I tried it with a star after it. I tried it with an exclamation point after it. I tried it with this, that, and so tricky gate codes. Should have points deducted for that. Uh, this next one, too many stairs. Um, you know, it's not a 5-star type of customer if you have to walk up like 5 flights of steps. I'm sorry. And then this last one, and like I said, there could be other things for these, but difficulty finding the right room location once inside the building. So there was this, for an example, I had a delivery one time downtown Columbus. I go up to like the 5th or 6th floor. I get off the elevator. Now, most high-rise hotels, apartment buildings, things like this, as soon as you get off an elevator, there'll be signs on the wall. Rooms 1 through 20 are that way, 21 to 40 is the other way. And you know which hallway to go down. I get off this elevator, there's 3 different hallways. There's like in front of me, going back behind me, to the right. There's like 3 different ways. None of them are marked. So I had to go down, and I had a heavy order. This was a grocery order that had like a 24 pack of water. I put most of, if not all of the order in my catering bag, and was carrying my catering bag two-handed, like probably over 50 pounds. And so what I did was I had to set it right on the floor in front of the elevator, and I had to walk down each hallway to find the room first, because I'm not going to carry it down each hallway. And I had to find the room first, walk down and find it, then walk back to the elevator, get my bag, and go down to the room. Now, the reason I think all of these should be less than a point is because not all of these things are the customer's fault. And we got to understand here that these people live in, or they're located in, tricky kind of areas, but they should still be able to order food, from DoorDash just like anybody else can. They should have the same opportunities as everybody else. And the people in that apartment building, it's not that particular customer's fault that outside the elevator the aisles aren't marked. That's not their fault. They're just trying to order groceries and have it delivered. I personally would not have a 24 pack of water and couple gallons of milk and this and that and 20 item heavy grocery order. I wouldn't ask a delivery driver to bring that up 6 or 7 floors in a high rise apartment building. That's just me. But other customers feel comfortable doing that. I want to say I got like a $2 or $3 tip on that, and it wasn't hardly anything. Okay. Okay, so now we get to the example that I can, and this is just an example I kind of made up here for how this could work. So in this example, the customer on delivery on the delivery that was just completed had asked the dasher to buy a pack of cigarettes, and the customer was going to add the cost of the cigarettes to the driver tip. In addition to that, the customer lived in a high-rise apartment building and the hallways were not marked at the elevator exit. So here's what happens. The dasher, the very first question, was this a 5-star delivery experience? They would say no. And then it would come to the choices. And the first box that they would check off is next to where it says the customer tried to make an unauthorized request, and that would be for the cigarettes. Okay, there's 2 points. Now, again, the system is going to add up the points or whatever, and they'll give out the rating. Next, the dasher also checks the box about the accessibility issue with the aisles. Once they got off the elevator, the aisles were not clearly marked with what rooms were down which aisles. So they check those 2 boxes, and then finally the system assigns a 2.5-star rating to the customer for that particular delivery. And then they are scored with an overall customer rating, just like the dashers are. And if DoorDash wants to, just like with the dashers, if DoorDash on the customer side as well wants to make it to where that 2.5 star sticks until another 100 ratings from that. Can you imagine that if that was for the customers as well? The customers have to place, now for me it's usually 700 to 800 deliveries before a rating falls off. Could you imagine a customer has to place like 800 more orders to be delivered to their home before that 2.5 star falls off? See how kind of unfair that is with the 100 rating thing that I talked about in the earlier video? It's just crazy. But anyway, that's what I came up with about how the customers could be rated. So if you're watching this, let me know what you think in the comments. You think this is a good idea, bad idea, or what would you do differently with this? What other ideas do you maybe have that could be done here? Let me know what you think. Again, thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, check out my previous videos. Make sure you check out the other, if you haven't already, check out the first 4 parts of this series as well. Again, thanks for watching, and until the next video, be safe out there dashing.